I'm David from Levika Photography, and today I bring you the XPRO-o for Olympus and Panasonic Micro Four Thirds. How does it compare to the X1T-o for Olympus and all that other stuff? Well, the difference is obviously in design, but the main thing is these pretty much work the same. The largest difference would have to be that you can control a lot more groups and a lot more cameras with this. Not just that, but with the X1T, if you use flashes for most of your stuff and you control the zoom on the flashes, the X1T will only allow you to just kind of set all your flashes at one zoom setting. On the XPRO-o, you can actually set each individual flash setting and turn on lights with modeling lights if you have them. Like the Godox 600BM, for example, has modeling light. So with this, you can totally use that. With the 8200, if you're using the flash head, you can use it as modeling light. With this, you can control it. So those are the two biggest differences. Radio-wise, transmission-wise, they work about the same. Just this one is a lot easier to use with a lot more functionality. So let's go over the menu system really quick. Very easy to use and pretty much straightforward. Alright, so right off the bat, you have your, just going from the top, this says what channel you're on. This illumination right here, this camera icon, means that the camera is actually active right now and that it's not asleep. If it falls asleep, that actually goes away. And then over here is your battery indicator, and to change your channel, you hit this button here. But before we do that, you have these 5 buttons on the side. These are quick selection buttons to choose whichever group you want to actually edit really fast. So in this case, I'm gonna crank it up here. I think we want that to be at like an 1/8. And then B, we can set to TTL, and then we can say this can be 1.7. And then C, we can also set this mode to TTL, and we can say this will just be +1. And then you see these group icons that come up here. If you move these buttons up and down, if we had more groups on here, because this will control 16 different lights now, then you can just toggle through them and then still use these buttons as a quick selection if you need to select them really quick. So anyway, that is very cool. So to get back to the main menu, you just hit set, and then this is the main screen that you usually see, and you'll see the zoom, channel, sync, all, and mod. And let's just start with these 4 buttons. So zoom, if you just hit really quick, it will show you what all these are set at. You can now individually set each head unit to its own zoom power. If A could actually zoom, then I would set that to 50 or whatever. And then B, that one actually does zoom, so I think I will set that to 105. And then C will set it 70, even though it doesn't zoom. And then D and E, we can just leave those alone because we're not using them. So anyway, from there you just hit set, brings you back to the same screen. A long press on the same button allows you to change your channel, and now we can go from either 1 to 32. So you can select 1 to 32 channels. I think that's about the same as the X1T. And then let's go back to 1, since mine are all set on 1. Now you still have to set the flashes individually on 1 or 32 or whatever they're going to be, but they need to match this. Okay, the next button is your high-speed sync button. So when you hit that, that turns on the high-speed sync icon up here, and very easy to do. All you do is turn it on. Holding these 2 buttons down actually resets the entire transmitter if for some reason you get into a bind. These 2 right here. So it's already happened to me once because I got stuck in something, and I think it was because my batteries were almost dead. Anyway, the last one is the modeling light, and when you turn this on, you'll notice it kind of lit up over here. That's because that light just turned on. So you can turn on all of your strobes that are capable of doing modeling lights, or you can turn them off. So kind of a handy feature. You can also individually do those in each one of these. So that's what I'm going to do next. So from here, I can select A using this little magnification button /TCM. Hit that once, and that brings you in here, and you can change your zoom, channel, sync, group, modeling light. You can turn it on and off right there, and then your mode, and you can say off, TTL, or manual. So you can pretty much set everything from here just by focusing in on that one section. So I found that to be very handy. Hit that magnification /TCM button again. That brings you back out of it. All right, so this button right here is your mode button. So you can quickly select any group and change the mode of it just by cycling through it. And you have manual, TTL, and turning it off. You can change modes very easily just by hitting the mode button. By hitting this mode button right here, you can just cycle through the modes really quick. I'm going to leave that on TTL for right now, and then just hit the set button there. That brings you back to the normal menu. Now, the only other thing that I haven't covered yet is the menu button. So let's go through this really quick. By hitting the menu button, this brings up this configuration menu. So standby is exactly what it sounds like. Have it go to sleep, turn it on or off. Beep, on or off. I leave it off. Your minimum power, so 1/28 is usually what all Godox flashes go down to, is 1/28. A couple of them, the better lights, go down to 1/256. I just leave it at 1/28. And then your light, which means the backlight, it can either be on, off, or set to a 12-second delay. And then your sync, now this is actually kind of a cool feature. I haven't played with this yet, but if you use the Godox X1 receiver, then you can plug that into this, and you can say going out to this receiver or coming into it, either way, you can use that receiver as a trigger to actually fire the camera body as remote. Then you have your groups. Now from here, this is where you expand it from 5 to 16. Right now I'm just leaving it on 5. And then you have your LCD brightness. You can turn it up or down. And then you have your shoot mode. Now this they don't really talk about at all in the manual. So you have single user, and then you have multi-user. And I imagine this would be like, let's say somebody's doing a workshop and you have 5 people using the same lights. You'd want it set on that. And then this one just allows you to connect to the app and control the transmitter, I guess, through the app. I don't have an iPhone. I can't test the app, so I couldn't tell you. Okay, so distance. So you can change from either 1 to 100 meters or 0 to 30 meters. So I imagine if you're in an environment where you need to shoot like around a corner and you want maximum frequency, you would put it on 1 to 100. That's what it is right now. I'm just going to leave it at that. ID, so I guess you can assign the ID to this if you need to, and I imagine that has something to do with the app. Now this last setting is my favorite setting, TCM. This means TTL changed to manual, and that's what I love. Can't stand TTL, people. It uses too much energy and wears down your batteries really fast. So anyway, you can select either head units or one of these, depending upon which ones you're using. In this case, I'll say the 200, since I've got the AD200 plugged in, and that's set on TTL. So from here, I can hit back, and then now the crazy thing is, if I take a shot with TTL, and that's what I'm getting, and then if I turn around and do a long press on the TCM, those two lights automatically change to manual mode, whatever that power is, to match TTL. So what this does is this now removes the pre-flash that happens before TTL. So your lights are now set. Where do you want to use this? Well, if you're an avid TTL user and you're working in a studio where the light isn't changing that much, you want to use it there, because then you will save a lot of battery power. and a lot of recycling time, and you'll be able to shoot a little faster and get a little bit more work done and be a little happier, I guess. So anyway, you notice how the lighting doesn't change at all between these two shots. Here's something that Sony users don't ever really get to see, a focus assist beam, and it actually works on Olympus. Alright, let's set some of this up really quick. So I've got the transmitter on the camera, and basically I've got A set at 1/16, which is that flash over there. And then I've got B on here set at half power. I don't know why, it just is. But anyway, let's move that out of the way, and then we'll go ahead and go back over to this. Now, here's the TT350O, and to set this is really pretty easy. Sync and zoom button need to be pressed, but press the sync button just before the zoom button, just like that. And then you'll see this icon flashing, and there you can roll through. If you see the M next to it, that means master. And then if you see S next to it, that means slave. We want slave. So then we'll hit mode over here to make it manual. And then now I can change my group just by quick selecting the slave button, and we'll say B. So now we're on B. So now, if I test fire this, this automatically goes to half power, which is what I have set over there. Now one's at 1/16. So for a quick demonstration, we'll use Happy Robot Baby here because we love Happy Robot Baby. He's so cute. But we'll put him here, and then we'll stick this one behind him. Now this is actually the TT350S for Sony, and basically we're going to use that in the background. We're going to use the TT350O for Olympus in the foreground, just to show you that if you use a Godox flash that's designed for a different camera system, they all play together very well. So we'll set that up like that. Grab our camera here. Let's see if our settings are correct. Let's see if our settings are correct here. So the real thing that's really impressive about Godox is that Godox has its own language. So if you think about it, if you're using Canon, Nikon, Olympus, Pentax, Sony, all those camera systems have their own way of controlling their flashes that are designed for those cameras. Now, what Godox did is they put in like a little translator, and basically when they're mounted on those camera systems, yeah, they talk Canon coming off of the camera system, but when it's going into the flash, Godox is translating it into its own language. So Godox can work with Sony, Olympus, Nikon, Canon, Panasonic. You know, that's just the way that they work. So these two flashes, being from two different camera systems, can actually control this strobe, or they can control each other. That is the beauty behind it. Now, if you're an Olympus user, and let's say you wanted to use your Olympus flash along with one of these, the way that you would have to go about doing that is getting the X1 receiver, and that's the base that the flash can sit on, and then Godox can translate its language back into Olympus to make that flash work. Same thing goes for Canon. If you want to use a Canon flash, you have to get the receiver, and then Godox can translate its language back into Canon to control that flash. So ultimately, the beauty behind Godox is that it works with everything. Now, I have 3 different camera systems, Sony, Olympus, and Canon, and all my flashes can all talk to each other off camera. So as long as I have this transmitter on here, I can use all those flashes together. And when you think about it, I probably have a total of about 10 flashes across all my camera systems. So if I need some serious strobing power, bring all those together along with this and the 8200, I've got some serious firepower. So anyway, I hope you guys like this video. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. Otherwise, we'll talk to you guys later. See ya.